is Hungary based. You have probably already heard the news that they have banned Pride in Hungary, and it's exactly what you think it is. Time and time again, one of the favorite topics of the government is gay people, and I really don't care about it. Every single day, one thing that I can hear on the news is gay people. They don't discuss the news or what is happening, only gay people. And again, I don't care. It's always somehow gay people are bad for you, but only if this gay person is from the opposition or from the general public. When they catch the family-oriented and traditional Fidesz politician having a gay orgy high on LSD or whatever he was taking, that's not a problem. But generally, gay people are bad. They never explain how, only that they somehow are. But not if the person in question is the Prime Minister's friend, or if he's the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We don't talk about that. But the rainbow flag is bad, and the rainbows in the sky are also somehow bad. But it also happened to me what the government was so helpfully warning me about. And in the gym, I saw a gay person. And the only reason I know that he was gay is because he was kissing his boyfriend. And do you know what happened to me, or what did I do after seeing this? Nothing. Because again, I don't care. And to understand why I'm rambling about this on a channel where I try to explain propaganda, is because this entire play they are putting on is just a distraction. Basically now the opposition is doing the propaganda for the government. And to understand how, here is some context about what's going on in Hungary. The current government gave a presidential pardon to a guy who was in prison because he pressured a child to do not testify against a pedophile who was molesting children. This is the same government that calls itself family-oriented and constantly brags about how they are protecting children. Which is really easy to say and actually really easy to do, but somehow the government failed at even this simple task. And they really don't want you to talk about this. They also don't want you to talk about how Hungary launched its own space program in the form of its housing market that had already reached the moon. Because right now it's around 3 times more expensive to buy a normal house than it was a decade ago. Again, we don't talk about this. We achieved similar results with our inflation that right now you can actually track on flightradar24.com. Again, we don't talk about this. But luckily not everything is getting so high. Take the value of the Hungarian forint, for example, which is racing towards the ground and somehow doing worse than the Somalian shilling, which I'm not sure how they managed to do it, but apparently nothing is impossible for the current government, apart from protecting children. Hungary also has the highest value-added taxes in Europe, or if I can trust Wikipedia, the entire world at 27%. Again, something that the government really doesn't want you to talk about. But hey, at least the government spends its tax revenue responsibly, and instead of wasting it on healthcare or infrastructure or other useless nonsense, they make smart investments. Like a palace for the Prime Minister, a yacht for the Prime Minister's boyfriend, who is now the richest person in Hungary. He actually worked a minimum wage job before Fidesz got into power, but now he has a yacht. Because he worked really hard for his money. Unlike those lazy people who only work like 6 days a week or maybe 12-hour shifts or night shifts and then complain that they can't afford living. Stealing from your own country is apparently patriotic, or so I have heard from the current government. And they wouldn't lie about it now, would they? Again, please don't talk about this. There is also a football stadium for 4,000 people in a village of 2,000. This is the house the Prime Minister grew up in, by the way. This is totally unrelated to the location of the stadium and it's just a coincidence. Again, this is something that we are not supposed to be talking about. It's also wasting taxpayer money on this. This is not Photoshop or a caricature poster. This is a real poster the government put up from taxpayer money, along with others. Some of them telling people how good the economy does and how good the living conditions are. Because if you keep telling the same lie over and over again, then eventually people will believe you, even as their cart declines in the grocery shop when they are trying to buy food. And people see this every day and are constantly reminded that from 1 month of work, 2 weeks they have worked was for this, and this, and this, and some other bullshit. All the while they can barely afford rent or to pay the utility bills. And the majority of people are really fed up by this. And an election is coming. And finally there appears to be a party who can actually replace the current government. And we don't really know if this party can be trusted or even if they are competent, but at least they are not the current government. And this single fact is enough for the majority of the people. And the current government knows it well. And now they are in full damage control and do everything they can to stay in power. It turns out that a lot of people really don't like when a government that claims to protect children is actually supporting pedophiles who claim to be patriotic are actually serving the interest of foreign actors instead of serving the nation, or stealing from the nation while claiming to protect it. And after all of this, what does the current government do? Do they stop stealing? Do they make the bare minimum effort to make Hungary a better place? No, what they are trying to do is to present the current opposition as people who have no legitimate reason to be critical of the government and are just fed up over woke things. And this is the main reason I'm talking about all of this on a channel focused on propaganda. Because banning Pride in Hungary has no other purpose than propaganda. They claim it's for the protection of children, but the current government made it very clear that despite being very loud about protecting children, they don't care. They also made it very clear that they don't have any real, justified problem with LGBT people. I mean, the favorite priest of the traditional Christian government, who himself is also a very loud critic of LGBT people, is also gay. So is this guy who is also taking LSD and cheating on his wife. You know, a member of the family-oriented Fidesz party. And the others who are not openly gay, but yeah, you get my point. They are only talking about these values very loudly, but in reality they don't really represent them. And they really don't want people to talk about this. This is why they banned Pride. Apart from still pretending to stick to their values, the opposition and pretty much everyone will react to it. And when they do, the current government can just pretend that people are not really criticizing them because of corruption, because of bad and worsening living conditions, or because they are serving the interest of foreign actors instead of serving the nation, and a long list of other things. No, they can just paint a stereotype, make a straw man, and when these people make valid criticism about the numerous issues with the current government, they just pretend that it's actually just woke people complaining about woke things, trying to do as much damage control as possible and do everything they can to prevent even more people realizing that the current government is doing the exact opposite of what they are preaching. And sadly, this is working. And the current government is, how to put it, not very smart. But I have to give it to them, they are good at propaganda. And I really don't care how people live their life. I know it's a radical and extremist belief, but I like small governments that do their job well and only do their job. You know, roads, firefighting, education, and stuff like that. What I don't want my government to do is tell people how to live their life, what color t-shirt they can wear, or what they can eat for breakfast. My general rule to life is do whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting anyone, I don't care. And if you want me to support banning LGBT stuff, I will, just give me a good reason. What negative effects do they have on me or other people? Saying over and over again how bad they are is not a good reason. Having an emotional meltdown because you saw a rainbow is not a good reason. Having a tummy ache is again not a good reason, and banning gay people won't solve it. However, asking your top to not go so deep might solve the issue. Again, this whole banning of Pride by the government is basically a red herring, in the hopes that people will talk about this and only this, instead of the other problems, like inflation, corruption, the economy, well-being of children, and a lot of other things. Anyway, thank you for watching, and a special thanks to my Patreons J. Brandon and Ardabom.